The sky over Earth was dark, but it wasn't a normal night. The stars seemed to disappear, hidden by the shadows of something much bigger. Above the planet, a fleet of alien ships hovered, their cold metal shining under the dim light of the moon. These were not friendly visitors. The aliens had come to take over. The Earth's defense system had been quiet for years. Humans no longer needed to fight wars. They had made peace, retired their armies, and lived simple lives. But the aliens didn't understand this. They didn't care about peace. They saw Earth as weak, an easy target for their invasion. The leader of the alien fleet, a tall creature with sharp, glowing eyes, stood before his commanders. He was confident, almost smug. He laughed as he looked down at the planet below. His voice echoed across the room, a sound of pure arrogance. "Earth's soldiers are nothing but old, tired humans," he said. "Their weapons are rusty. Their leaders have long since retired. This planet will fall within hours. Our victory is certain." His commanders nodded, but they didn't seem as sure as he was. They had heard of Earth's history, how it was once a planet filled with powerful warriors, known across the universe for their fierce battles. But that was in the past. The aliens had no reason to believe humans still had any strength left. They were just a peaceful, forgotten world now. "We will crush them easily," the leader continued, his voice colder now. "We will take their cities, destroy their armies, and rule this planet without mercy. The humans will be nothing more than slaves to us." The fleet commander, a tall alien with a scar across his face, looked out at the Earth through a large screen. He frowned. "But leader, we know that Earth was once a powerful planet. What if these humans still have something left? What if they have weapons we do not know about?" The leader turned to the fleet commander, his sharp gaze piercing through him. "Do not question me. I have studied Earth. Their strongest soldiers are nothing but old men and women now. They have forgotten how to fight. We are far stronger than they could ever be." The fleet commander said nothing more, but deep down, he felt a hint of doubt. Something about this felt too easy. The aliens had taken many planets before, but none like Earth. It wasn't just any planet. They had heard stories. But those stories were old, and the aliens had no time for ancient legends. They only cared about one thing: power. The leader signaled for the fleet to prepare for the attack. His laughter filled the room once more as the ships began to move. The Earth's fate was sealed in his mind. The invasion would begin at dawn. Back on Earth, things were quiet. People were going about their day, not knowing that the end was near. Cities bustled with life. Children played in parks, and families enjoyed their peaceful routines. But far from the noise of everyday life, something was happening. Something that would change everything. In a hidden base, deep beneath the Earth's surface, a group of old soldiers gathered. They were a mix of men and women, all over the age of 50. Some were in their 60s, even 70s. They had not been called to duty in years. They had put down their weapons, hung up their uniforms, and thought their fighting days were behind them. But now, they were called back. They stood in a large room, filled with high-tech equipment that looked outdated but was still powerful. The walls were lined with old photographs of battles fought long ago, faces of soldiers who had fought and died for their planet. The air was tense, and the silence was deafening. The only sound was the hum of the machines around them. The leader of this group was General David Langford, a man who had seen it all. His hair had turned gray, and his body was no longer as strong as it had once been. But his mind was sharp, and his spirit was unbreakable. He had fought in wars that had shaped Earth's history, and now he was the one who would lead humanity's last stand. "The aliens are coming," he said, his voice strong but filled with sadness. "They think we are weak, that we've forgotten how to fight. They are wrong. We've spent our lives building this peace, but it's time to defend it." The soldiers looked at one another, some with fear in their eyes, others with determination. They were old, but they were not done. They had never truly retired. It was simply that the world had forgotten their strength. They had lived peaceful lives, But war was in their blood. And now, they had to fight again. "We've trained for this," General Langford continued. "We've spent years preparing for a day like this. We may be older, but we are still warriors. The aliens are about to learn that you don't retire from a fight. You just keep fighting." The soldiers nodded. They knew what had to be done. They would not let their planet fall without a fight. They had fought for Earth once, and they would do it again. The leader of the alien fleet might have laughed at them, but soon he would regret that laughter. Earth's retired fighters were coming, and the battle for their world was just beginning. The aliens, meanwhile, continued their approach, confident that victory was within their grasp. But they would soon learn the hard truth. Earth's retired fighters had not forgotten how to fight. And when the first shots were fired, the aliens would realize they had underestimated humanity in the most dangerous way possible. The challenge had begun, and Earth's warriors were ready. The world had no idea what was coming. The streets were full of life, the air filled with the sounds of children laughing and cars driving by. Earth's peaceful existence seemed unbreakable, but deep beneath the surface, an old hidden world was awakening. In the heart of a long-forgotten underground base, the once great soldiers of Earth prepared for war. These were the warriors who had fought in battles that changed the fate of nations, fought to protect their homes and families. They had served their time and retired, hoping never to be needed again. But now, they stood together, older but not weaker. General David Langford stood at the front of the room, looking at the group of men and women gathered before him. The air was thick with tension, yet there was something else in the room, something familiar. It was the feeling of being ready, ready to fight. "I know most of you thought your days of battle were over," General Langford began, his voice low but strong. "I know you've all built new lives for yourselves. But that was then. Now, the world needs us again." The room was silent. Some soldiers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Most of them were in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s. Some had been doctors, farmers, teachers, or businessmen after their retirement. But each one had once been part of Earth's greatest army. Each one had fought for the survival of the planet in ways the younger generation would never know. Private Maria Soto, once a sharpshooter, raised her hand. She was older now, but her eyes still held the fire of a soldier. "General, what makes you think we can still stand up to them? The aliens will have far more advanced weapons. We've been out of the fight for too long." Langford nodded. "I know. They have technology we don't. But we have something they don't: experience. We know how to think like soldiers, how to fight with nothing but our minds and our hands, and we know how to adapt. We've done it before." The room went quiet as the soldiers thought about what the general said. They had fought in wars of old, wars where they had faced terrible enemies and nearly lost everything. But they had always found a way to win. And now, they would have to do it again. Across the room, Sergeant Richard Miles, once a tactical genius, stood up. "We've fought some of the best soldiers in the galaxy before. We know what it takes to win. These aliens might have advanced weapons, but we have something even more powerful: our will. If we fight smart, we can beat them." Langford looked around the room, his eyes meeting each soldier's gaze. He knew that they were ready. They might be older, but they weren't finished. They had the skills, the knowledge, and the heart to protect Earth, no matter the cost. "We're not just going to defend Earth. We're going to show these aliens what it means to face a real fight. And we're going to make sure they never forget who we are." As the humans prepared in secret, the aliens continued their approach. They were unaware of the forces gathering against them. Their fleet was enormous, thousands of ships, all filled with alien soldiers ready for battle. The alien leader, still confident in his superiority, continued to mock the humans. "Earth's soldiers are weak. They are nothing," he said, his voice filled with arrogance. "When we land, we will crush them instantly. There is no army left to fight us." But even as he spoke those words, His commanders began to feel a twinge of doubt. Something wasn't right. The humans hadn't responded to their initial threat, and the alien leader's laughter began to fade. They couldn't help but wonder if there was more to Earth than they had been led to believe. One of the commanders, a tall alien named Zorith, turned to the leader. "Are we sure about this? I mean, I've heard stories about Earth. Its soldiers, they were once formidable." The leader's eyes narrowed, his confidence unwavering. "Those stories are old, Zorith. We have nothing to fear. The humans are nothing but weak, retired soldiers. We will wipe them out with ease." But as Zorith listened, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. He had seen many planets fall before, but Earth's history was different. There was something about this planet that felt unpredictable. Back underground, the retired warriors were gearing up. They were given the best technology available, some of it old but still effective. The weapons and tools they would use were a mix of the past and the present, the old Earth technology combined with some of the more advanced gear from Earth's quiet military reserves. They didn't need the latest, most advanced weapons to win. They knew that the key to victory was something much simpler: strategy. Their time in war had taught them how to outsmart their enemies, how to use the environment to their advantage, and how to never underestimate an opponent. The retired soldiers went through their final preparations, reviewing old battle plans, checking their weapons, and putting on their worn-out uniforms. Some of them smiled as they thought about the good old days. Others were silent, lost in memories of battles fought long ago. Maria Soto stood by the window, looking out at the world she had once sworn to protect. The peaceful streets below seemed so far away from the chaos that was about to come. But she didn't feel fear. She felt a burning desire to protect those she loved. "I never thought I'd be back here," she said quietly to herself. "But I will fight to my last breath if I have to. This is our world, and we're not going to let anyone take it." The stage was set. The aliens believed they had nothing to fear. They thought Earth was weak, defenseless, and ready to be conquered. But they had no idea what was waiting for them. The retired warriors of Earth were back, and they were ready to show the invaders just how dangerous humans could be. The first wave of battle was coming, and it would soon become clear to both sides that the fight was far from over. The forgotten warriors were no longer forgotten. They were the last hope of Earth, and they were ready for whatever came next. The first wave of alien ships descended upon Earth with terrifying speed. The aliens believed their victory was inevitable. They had watched Earth's soldiers fade into obscurity, their defenses weak and out of practice. The humans had retired, they thought. They had forgotten the art of war. But what they didn't know was that the Earth's retired warriors were about to remind them just how dangerous humans could be. The alien fleet was massive, filling the sky with dark, menacing shapes. Thousands of ships were ready to strike. The leader of the alien fleet, still confident and full of arrogance, watched Earth from the command bridge of his flagship. "Ready the attack," he commanded. "We will strike fast and hard. They will have no chance." Below, in the hidden base, the retired warriors were waiting. Their nerves were calm. They had been through this before, many years ago. They knew the first wave of battle would be the toughest. It would test their strength and skill. But they also knew that victory didn't always come from having the most advanced weapons. It came from outsmarting your enemy. General Langford stood with his team, watching the massive alien ships approach the planet. The calmness in his eyes was unsettling, as if he knew something no one else did. The room was filled with soldiers preparing for battle, each one mentally preparing for what was to come. "We've trained for this," Langford said, his voice steady. "Our first strike will be quick and unexpected. We need to send them a message. Humans are not as weak as they think." The retired warriors made their way to their command center, each soldier moving with purpose. They knew the first battle was going to be a test of their skills, their strategy, and their courage. But they also knew that they had one advantage the aliens didn't have: the element of surprise. The alien leader, still unaware of what was to come, gave the order to begin the attack. The sky over Earth lit up with flashes of bright lights as the first wave of alien ships fired their weapons, targeting cities and military bases across the globe. The first explosions rocked the world, shaking buildings and sending people running for cover. The aliens' weapons were powerful, their energy blasts tearing through the sky and causing chaos. The aliens expected humans to panic, to flee. But what they didn't expect was the calm response from Earth's warriors. The first attack was nothing more than a diversion. The retired soldiers, already in position, had anticipated the aliens' movements. They didn't need to engage the full force of the aliens just yet. They needed to give them a false sense of victory. While the alien ships fired on cities, the humans in the shadows prepared for their counterattack. As the alien fleet moved forward, expecting easy targets, Earth's hidden fleet suddenly emerged from behind the moon, hidden from the aliens' radar. The alien leader's eyes widened in surprise. What is this? Where did they come from? The alien ships were fast, but they were unprepared for the sudden appearance of Earth's fleet. The retired soldiers had secretly constructed a fleet of their own, using old ships and technology that had been sitting unused for years. Though outdated, these ships were still highly effective in the right hands, and the hands guiding them now were those of experienced warriors. The battle began, and the alien fleet quickly realized they were not dealing with helpless civilians. The first few alien ships exploded in fiery blasts, their wreckage tumbling down toward the Earth below. The retired soldiers' ships were small and agile, using the aliens' own weapons against them. They maneuvered quickly, firing their old yet powerful cannons. "We're not just fighting for our planet," Langford's voice crackled through the comms. "We're fighting for our survival." The aliens tried to regroup, but it was too late. The retired soldiers had already set traps. Using their knowledge of Earth's terrain, they created obstacles in space, making it difficult for the alien fleet to advance. What the aliens didn't understand was that these humans, who had spent decades living in peace, knew the Earth like the back of their hands. And they knew how to use it to their advantage. The first wave of alien ships fell one after another, their fiery trails lighting up the sky. The retired warriors didn't hesitate. They knew this was only the beginning, but they also knew that the aliens' arrogance had given them a huge advantage. The aliens had underestimated the power of Earth's old fighters. Inside the command center, the soldiers cheered as the first alien ships were destroyed. But Langford didn't celebrate. He knew that the battle was far from over. "They'll send more ships," he said, his voice grim. "This is just the start." The alien leader, furious now, watched as his ships were torn apart. His fleet had suffered serious losses, and Earth's fighters had only just begun. "You've made a mistake, Earth," the alien leader said, his voice cold. "You have no idea what you're up against." But the retired warriors weren't afraid. They had been through the worst, and they knew that the alien leader's words were empty threats. They had seen real fear before. This was nothing. "We've made no mistake," Langford said, staring at the screen. "We are just getting started." As the first wave of battle ended, the alien fleet began to retreat, regrouping for their next strike. They had learned one thing. The humans they had underestimated were not the weak, retired fighters they thought. They were warriors, and they were ready to show the aliens that Earth would never surrender. The first battle was over, but the war had only just begun. The retired soldiers watched as the alien ships pulled back. They knew the aliens would be coming for them with everything they had. But now, they had the upper hand. The aliens had been caught off guard, and the humans were ready to take advantage of it. The message had been sent. Earth's warriors were not to be taken lightly. The real fight was about to begin. And the aliens were in for a surprise. The sky was filled with smoke and the wreckage of alien ships as the remnants of the first wave retreated. The battle had been fierce, but the aliens had underestimated Earth's retired soldiers. The humans had taken them by surprise, using their knowledge, experience, and old tactics to deal a crushing blow. But the aliens weren't going to give up easily. The first wave was just the beginning. They would send more ships, more forces, and Earth's warriors knew it. General Langford stood with his team, watching the battle unfold. His face was calm, but his mind was racing. "We've won the first round," he said, his voice steady. "But this is far from over. They'll be back, and they'll come harder." He turned to the soldiers around him. "We've proven we can win, but we need to be smarter. The aliens think they know everything about us. They think we're out of practice, that we're weak. But we know something they don't. We have more power than they could ever imagine." The room was silent, the soldiers nodding, understanding what the general was saying. They knew that the battle wasn't just about fighting. It was about outsmarting their enemy. The aliens had the technology, but Earth's warriors had something else. The ability to think on their feet, to adapt, and to use everything around them. In the midst of all the chaos, Earth's retired soldiers knew they had to keep the momentum going. The aliens might have powerful weapons, but the humans had the advantage of knowing how to turn any situation to their benefit. The alien leader, watching the retreat of his forces, clenched his fists in anger. His ships were scattered, and his first wave had been crushed by the very humans he had laughed at. He had underestimated them, and that mistake was going to cost him dearly. "This is impossible," the alien leader hissed, pacing back and forth in his command center. "How could they have done this? Their weapons are outdated. Their technology is nothing compared to ours." His second in command, a tall alien named Korek, approached him with a grim expression. "Leader, the humans are not as weak as we thought. They're fighting with a level of coordination and skill we didn't expect. It seems their old technology is still dangerous in their hands." The leader's eyes glowed with anger. "Then we will destroy them once and for all. Bring in the rest of the fleet. I want everything we have. We will not fail." Meanwhile, deep underground, Earth's retired warriors were preparing for the next round. They had seen what the aliens were capable of, and they knew the fight was far from over. But they were ready. They had one more trick up their sleeves. "We've only shown them a small part of what we can do," Langford said, his eyes narrowing as he looked at the battle strategies. "Now it's time to show them the rest. We have one more weapon." The soldiers gathered around him, curious. The tension in the room was palpable. Maria Soto, her hand on her weapon, spoke up. "What weapon are you talking about, General?" Langford smiled slightly. "Not a weapon, Maria. A strategy. A way to turn the tide in our favor. We've been using outdated ships, old technology. But we've also been hiding something. Something that even the aliens don't know about." The soldiers exchanged looks, unsure of what he meant, but their faith in their leader was absolute. Langford had never led them astray before. He had always known when to push forward and when to wait. And now, it seemed, he was ready to reveal his final plan. "We have more than just old ships," Langford continued. "We have the knowledge to use this old technology in ways the aliens will never expect. We can turn these ships into weapons that can strike fear into them. We'll make them realize that the Earth they thought was weak is the most dangerous planet in the galaxy." Above Earth, the alien fleet had regrouped. Hundreds of ships now filled the sky, ready for a second assault. The alien leader looked down at the planet with a fierce determination. "This time, we will not fail," he muttered under his breath. "This time, we will show them the true power of the galaxy." The aliens began their descent once again, their ships descending like a storm, their weapons primed and ready. They fired without hesitation, targeting key cities across Earth, determined to break the human resistance once and for all. But as the alien ships neared, they began to notice something strange. The humans weren't panicking. They weren't retreating. Instead, they were organizing, faster and more efficiently than before. The sky lit up with the bright flashes of battle, but the humans were ready. The old ships, once thought to be useless, now seemed to come to life, maneuvering with surprising agility and precision. In the midst of the chaos, one of the alien commanders, Zoreth, noticed something that made him pause. "Leader," he said, his voice filled with doubt, "the humans. They turned their old ships into weapons. Their tactics are unlike anything we've seen before." The alien leader's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. These ships are outdated. How can they possibly be so effective?" But the truth was clear. The humans had discovered a way to turn their weaknesses into strengths. They were no longer just defending their planet. They were attacking the aliens in ways the invaders had never imagined. Back on Earth, General Langford watched as the humans began to fight back, their ships outmaneuvering and outsmarting the alien fleet. He knew the battle was far from over, but he also knew that the aliens had just made their first mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt, to fight with not just strength but with brains. And now, with the first waves of alien ships falling, it was clear. The true strength of Earth's warriors had been unleashed. The aliens might have advanced weapons, but they didn't have what the humans had. The ability to turn the tide of battle with the most powerful weapon of all, their minds. The aliens thought they had Earth in their grasp, but now they would learn the hard way. Earth's retired warriors were not just a memory. They were a force to be reckoned with. The battle was far from over, but the humans had shown their power. And the aliens would never forget it. The battle raged on, the skies above Earth now filled with the flashing lights of war. Alien ships and Earth's old warriors clashed in a fiery storm, each side vying for control of the planet. The alien fleet had come in full force, sending wave after wave of powerful ships, expecting an easy victory. But what they hadn't counted on was the fierce determination of Earth's retired soldiers. The tides of war had begun to shift. General Langford watched the battle unfold on the large screens in front of him. The alien ships had taken massive losses, but they were relentless. Their numbers seemed endless, and every time Earth's forces destroyed a ship, two more seemed to take its place. Despite their advances, Langford knew that the humans couldn't hold on forever. They needed something more. "We've done well so far," Langford said, his voice steady. "But we can't keep this up much longer. The aliens are too numerous, and their ships are too strong. We need to bring out the last of our reserves." Maria Soto, standing by his side, looked up at him with a determined expression. "What reserves? We've already used everything we have." Langford turned to her, his eyes filled with a quiet confidence. "Not everything." While the battle raged in the skies, far beneath the Earth's surface, the retired warriors were about to reveal the last piece of their plan. In a hidden cavern deep underground, a secret facility stood, untouched for decades. It was here that the final phase of their counteroffensive would begin. For years, this facility had been locked away, its true purpose a mystery even to the retired warriors. It was here that the last of Earth's ancient technology lay dormant. The soldiers had never needed it before. But now, as the alien onslaught threatened to overwhelm them, they had no choice but to unlock its secrets. The doors to the facility creaked open, revealing rows of dormant machines. These machines, ancient and powerful, had been built by the earliest humans to face threats from the stars. They were the ultimate weapon, a last line of defense, created with technology so advanced, it seemed almost mythical. But the retired soldiers had no time to wonder how it worked. They only knew it was their last hope. Private Soto stepped forward, her eyes wide with awe as she took in the machines. "What is all of this?" Langford stood behind her, a look of determination on his face. "These are the Earth's last weapons, the ones that were supposed to be used only as a last resort. We're going to use them now." With a push of a button, the dormant machines hummed to life, their lights flickering on as if waking from a long sleep. The warriors had no idea what these machines were capable of, but they knew they had to act quickly. Above Earth, the battle intensified. The alien leader, still furious over the unexpected losses, ordered another wave of ships to launch. This time, the aliens were determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. They launched their fleet with all the force they could muster, hoping to break the Earthlings' will to fight. But as they advanced, they began to feel a change in the air. The sky seemed to pulse with an unfamiliar energy, and the alien ship's systems started to glitch. Zorath, the alien commander, looked out the window of his ship in confusion. "What's happening? Why are our ships malfunctioning?" The alien leader snarled. "It must be some sort of defense system. They found a way to hack into our systems, but it doesn't matter. We'll crush them anyway." But Zorath's doubt remained. The humans were doing something. They were not just fighting. They were changing the very rules of the game. Back underground, Langford and his soldiers stood as the ancient machines powered up. The ground shook beneath their feet as massive mechanical arms reached toward the sky, their systems coming to life. The warriors watched in awe as massive energy shields flickered into existence, surrounding the base in a protective bubble. It was a technology so advanced that even the aliens had never encountered it before. "These shields," Langford said, his voice filled with awe, "will protect us from any weapon they can throw at us. But we don't just defend. We strike back." The machines began to hum with power, and in an instant, a huge energy beam shot from the facility, aimed directly at the alien fleet above. The beam was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It cut through the alien ships with precision, breaking through their shields and tearing through their hulls. One by one, the alien ships began to fall from the sky, their once mighty fleet disintegrating under the force of the human technology. The alien leader's eyes widened in disbelief. "No, this is impossible. How are they doing this?" Zorath looked at the falling ships, his voice tinged with fear. "They've activated something we've never seen before. This is not just ancient technology. This is power beyond anything we've ever known." The retired warriors on Earth watched as the alien fleet crumbled. The energy beam from the ancient machines was doing its job, cutting through the alien forces with unmatched precision. But the battle wasn't over yet. The remaining alien ships regrouped, their commanders furious and desperate. They would not let their invasion fail. "We've done well," Langford said, his eyes watching the screens. "But we need to be ready. They won't stop. They'll come back stronger." Private Soto stepped forward, her eyes filled with resolve. "We won't let them. Earth will fight until the end." As the alien fleet regrouped for another assault, the retired warriors stood tall. They had turned the tide of the battle. They had used their minds, their experience, and the power of Earth's ancient technology to strike fear into the heart of the alien invaders. But even as they celebrated their victory, they knew that the war was far from over. The aliens would not give up easily, and Earth's warriors would have to fight harder than ever to protect the planet they loved. The next battle would be their greatest test yet, but one thing was clear: Earth's warriors were far from finished. They had shown the aliens that humanity was not just a weak, forgotten force. They were a force to be reckoned with. And they would fight until the last breath. The battle had raged for days, and Earth's warriors had already accomplished the impossible. The once mighty alien fleet, with their advanced weapons and seemingly endless numbers, had been pushed back by the humans' unexpected strength. But as the last remnants of the alien forces regrouped, the humans knew they were not out of danger yet. The final confrontation was about to begin. General Langford stood on the battlefield, his eyes fixed on the sky where the alien ships were regrouping. His face was calm, but inside, he felt the weight of the situation. The aliens had suffered heavy losses, but they had one final ace up their sleeve. They would come at Earth with everything they had. It would be their last attempt to destroy humanity. And Langford knew it. "They're preparing for one final assault," Langford said, his voice steady, yet there was a quiet urgency in his tone. "We've taken down most of their fleet, but this last wave will be unlike anything we've seen. They'll come harder, but we're not backing down. Maria Soto, standing by his side, nodded firmly. "We fought this hard, General. We're not going to stop now." Langford gave her a brief smile. "No, we won't. But we need to be prepared. This time, we can't just outsmart them. This time, we need to hit them with everything we have." Above Earth, the alien fleet was gathering, larger than before. The final wave of alien ships was more powerful, equipped with new weapons that the humans had never faced. The alien leader, furious beyond measure, watched as his ships prepared for the last battle. "This is it," the alien leader hissed, his eyes glowing with anger. "This will be their final defeat. We've lost too many ships, but now I'll show them the full force of the galaxy." Zoreth, his second in command, looked at him with uncertainty. "Leader, the humans. They are stronger than we expected. We've underestimated them at every turn. Are we sure this will work?" The alien leader's eyes burned with rage. "They've won nothing. We will crush them now. No more tricks. No more delays. We will finish what we started." Back on Earth, Langford and his soldiers were preparing for the final assault. They knew they had to act quickly. The ancient weapons they had activated earlier were still in place, but the aliens had adapted. They had developed new countermeasures to defend against the energy beams that had been so effective. Earth's warriors would need to use all of their knowledge, all of their strategies, to win this battle. The retired soldiers gathered in the command center, the tension palpable. The skies above Earth were thick with the approaching alien fleet, and every soldier knew this was the moment that would decide the fate of the planet. "Listen up," Langford said, his voice commanding attention. "This is it, the final stand. We've beaten them before with our tactics, our old technology, but now we need to fight smarter than ever. We can't afford to hold back. We hit them with everything we've got." He paused, looking at each of his soldiers. "It's not just about our survival anymore. This is about proving to the galaxy that Earth isn't some forgotten backwater. We're humanity, and we'll never surrender." The alien fleet began its descent, and this time it was different. The ships were larger, their weapons more powerful. The skies above Earth grew dark as the alien ships filled the sky, blocking out the sun. Langford stood at the front, watching the approaching ships. He could feel the weight of history pressing on him. This was the moment that would define humanity. It wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a fight to prove that humans were not to be underestimated. "We've trained for this," he said, turning to his soldiers. "Now we fight." The first shots were fired, and the battle began. The alien ships unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, their weapons shaking the atmosphere. But the humans were ready. They fought with everything they had, using every weapon, every tactic they had learned over the years. The old ships, once thought obsolete, moved with incredible precision, outmaneuvering the aliens' advanced technology. The ancient machines that had been awakened earlier now glowed with power, unleashing energy blasts that tore through the alien ships. Earth's warriors, despite their age and the limitations of their technology, fought like a united force. The aliens were taken aback. They had never seen humans fight with such intensity, such cunning. General Langford and his team coordinated their movements with precision, using the terrain of Earth and their knowledge of the alien ships to their advantage. The aliens had powerful weapons, but Earth had something the invaders could never replicate: the will to fight, to protect their home, and the determination to never give up. The final wave of alien ships was now within striking distance. The alien leader watched from his flagship, his heart racing. Earth's warriors had taken down more ships than he had anticipated, but he would not be beaten. He would see this through to the end. "We cannot fail," he muttered. "This is the last chance. We destroy them now." But as the aliens prepared for their final strike, they found themselves facing something they never expected. A new weapon, a final countermeasure that Earth's warriors had kept hidden for just this moment. The humans activated the most powerful weapon in their arsenal, the last secret of Earth's ancient technology. A massive energy pulse, stronger than any weapon the aliens had ever encountered, shot from the ground, striking the alien fleet with devastating force. The pulse tore through the alien ships, their shields and weapons failing under the overwhelming power. One by one, the alien ships exploded, their wreckage falling to the ground below. The alien leader's face twisted in disbelief as his flagship was struck, the ship's core bursting in a fiery explosion. The remaining alien forces, seeing their last hope destroyed, began to retreat, their morale shattered. On Earth, the warriors stood in silence as the last of the alien ships fell from the sky. The battle was over. The war was over. The humans had won. General Langford stood tall, looking out at the horizon as the smoke of battle cleared. His team, battered but victorious, gathered around him. "We did it," Langford said, his voice filled with quiet pride. "We've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. We've proved that Earth will never be an easy target again." The soldiers looked up at the sky, now clear once more, knowing that they had fought not just for survival, but for the future of their world. Earth had survived the invasion, and they had shown the aliens that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. The war was over. Earth had won. And the galaxy would never forget the day that Earth's retired warriors proved that humans were not to be laughed at.